Hello, everybody. Welcome to this edition of our Friday Night Silliness. Today we are playing Zombie Driver HD. This was a game I discovered recently on my Xbox Live Gold account, and I was just browsing through some of the games, and it looked really interesting. I didn't really know much about it or what it was about or anything, but I decided to just buy it. It was only a couple bucks, and anyway, I just want to tell you kind of what my thoughts were and how I did, and also even bring up some other reviews of this game and kind of go from there. So anyways, so Zombie Driver HD, just like the name implies, you are a driver of a car. It's also a racing game, and there's other modes that you can do, but right now we're just going to cover the story mode part, and it's pretty much just your straight up shooter and hack and slash and racing kind of all put together in one game. It's pretty interesting, and you play as this guy who you gotta save the city from this zombie apocalypse, and kind of an interesting premise. And you start out as a taxi, as you can see here, and you can also get and win different cars. I don't think we'll show it here, but you can get a sports car. There's also a limousine. Also later in the game, you can get a bus, and you can also get different upgrades and things like that. And so the whole point is to just kill a bunch of zombies as best you can. You can run them over, you can shoot them, you can also get different power-ups and drops, which also respawn frequently, so you can go back sometimes and even pick up that same power-up that you got before in the same spot, which comes in handy sometimes. And so this game was originally on PC, and it crossed over from the Xbox, and I may even be on the PlayStation platform, I'm not sure. But it crossed over just because it had a lot of negative and positive and mediocre reviews kind of all put together. There was no real definitive review as to whether or not this was a great game or not. Personally, my thoughts, you know what, I kind of, as I got playing through here a little bit, I actually really didn't know what to think, and this is also coming from somebody who, not really a huge fan of zombies, but I don't really hate them either. The gameplay, a lot of people thought that it was too hard, other people said it was too easy. Personally, I actually did think the controllers were kind of hard, at least on Xbox. I don't know what they are on PC, but I had some trouble kind of coordinating between accelerating and shooting at the same time, because I had to like stop, slow down, and it was hard to shoot as I'm controlling the car at the same time. So it was a little bit cumbersome, but for somebody like Talon, who's a little bit better at the Xbox controller than I am, he'd probably find this game a lot easier. It really just depends on the skill level of the person, and right now I'm upgrading my car, and which I actually don't recommend right away, and which I just realized, because you're going to get other cars, and in this game you don't actually pick up that much money in the game. You have to really work for it, and you get paid for each zombie you kill. You can also pick up cash drops at random places, but it's still not really like a boatload of cash or money. You just kind of have to get the money as you go, and there's no real time limit, at least in the free roam part. When you're doing a mission, you often are timed, but even if it wasn't timed, you would still want to try to do it as fast as you can, just because the zombies often do a lot of damage to the car, and if you're not careful, you can die before you get back to your base after a mission and end up failing the mission. So as soon as you finish, you actually do want to head back to the base as soon as possible. And this is the guy that you get the sports car from, by the way. And you bring him back to the base. So anyways, another thing that people thought about this game was that it was very repetitive. In my opinion, saying something is repetitive is a very subjective term, because you can say anything is repetitive. You can say, you know, God of War is repetitive. You can say any racing game is repetitive. You can say life is repetitive. You know, you wake up, you go to bed, you go to work, schools, you know, whatever it is, life is anything can be repetitive. So it really kind of just depends on whether this kind of repetition is fun for you. For me, I kind of I don't really know. I mean, I really thought that it actually was pretty repetitive in sort of the negative sense. This wasn't really a game that I really finished. I got all the way up to the part where you get the limousine, but it really kind of wasn't that interesting. But for some of you, you may actually find this game a blast. And there is a lot of gore, as you can see, you know, being a zombie game, which was to be expected. But for some of you, you might actually really enjoy this one. And as you can see right now, my whole strategy and technique to defeating my first boss is just backing up, moving forward, backing up, moving forward, picking up a health pack, backing up again. If you can get this part just right and defeating the first boss without getting hit, then kudos to you, because I did not beat this boss on my first try. I noticed that when you shoot him for a little bit, and if you wait too long, he does regenerate health. So you definitely want to try to kill him as fast as possible. I actually just defeated him at the last minute. I think if he hit me one more time, I would have died. So, and the other thing I wanted to talk about was the graphics. In this game, it's a top-down game, as you can see. And actually, I think the graphics are pretty good. The colors really give it a lot of texture. And if you're playing on a PC game, a PC platform, you may experience some lag if your memory isn't fast enough. As you can see here, I'm playing on Xbox, and I have no problem whatsoever. A couple other things that I liked about this game is that I really like how, as you play further along, there's different types of zombies. Like there's, like dog zombies, your basic zombie. There's also these fat zombies that if you run into them, they explode. And if you hit one, it's basically game over. Like, you're gonna die. And so they're pretty easy to spot as you drive through, and you'll notice, you definitely don't want to hit those. And the other thing that I really liked as well is that the different sounds. I really like how you can, especially if you have a headset on, the different sounds you get from the different types of weapons, even the sounds from like running into a fence or a light pole, things like that. My favorite sound is actually the one when you do run into a light pole. It kind of makes it sound like more like a baseball, like one of those metal baseball bats that kids play in Little League. It sounds like that, and which is not kind of sound I would expect from running into a light pole or a telephone pole, but that's what it is, and it's actually kind of cool. I like it. The other thing is I also really like the music selection in the background and a few other things like that. So anyway, so that's actually it for today. We are out of time. So if you enjoyed this video, click like and share, subscribe if you're new, and we hope to see you next Friday.
Great job, son. Too bad those troops didn't make it back.